Hey Matt, nice to meet you.
Hey Regina, nice to meet you.
Okay, I asked you on the phone if you would be willing to do a little bit of an interview with me, and what I would like for our listeners and readers to find out is a little bit on your background, who you actually are, and what it is you do. So, why don't we begin with, I see all these lovely guitars. I see some very interesting books behind you.
Yeah.
So, what is it these days that you do?
Well, my primary focus is to teach guitar, and I guess the focus would be just to show people how to enjoy music and guitar and everything, and that's pretty much what I really try to do, is convey excitement and inspiration in playing music.
And do you feel that there is a person that is too young or too old to learn guitar?
Well, I prefer probably 5 years up, just because some of the motor skills that are involved in playing the guitar might be a little bit difficult for somebody under 5 years old. Probably the best, I just had a woman who was 82 years old, and I'll show you a picture here really quick. I actually got a picture of her where she has been taking lessons from me for 6 months, and then she started performing live, and that's at like a festival, and she dressed up like Elvis. She sang "Love Me Tender," and she's 82 years old and only been playing guitar for 6 months and already performing. So the age thing isn't really that big of a deal.
So that's really amazing. What would you say is coming out of being a musician yourself, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. What would you say is the greatest benefit for people learning music, learning guitar? What does it do for them as a person?
Well, it's everybody's got like a different goal, but I would say probably the majority of the students would actually it's a dream that they've never been able to fulfill. That they, a beginning adult, let's say, somebody who's never played guitar, is that something that they've always wanted to do and improve. I have students that are actually accomplished musicians that I teach too that'll come to me to try to, improve their skills and everything. And then the kids, they're just, I think it's great for the kids because they're just out, just try different things. Some of them might discover that it's not their favorite thing in the world, but other ones they just might do it for the rest of their life. So it all kind of depends on the student.
Do you teach only specific guitar styles, or do you teach pretty much across the board?
Pretty much across the board. Yeah. Anything that the student wants to learn, I can definitely help them out with.
What would you say would be some of the most important things to keep in mind if you want to, you're a complete beginner. You have never picked up a guitar, and you want to learn. What would you tell your students is the most important thing to keep in mind?
Well, it all depends what your goal is. Most students that are beginners are just experimenting. They're just trying to see if they like to play the guitar. I would say to my students that, if you don't get a lot of practice in, because if you have a busy schedule, don't worry about it. But, the more time that you spend with it, the better you get. And I would say that probably just don't get discouraged if it's a little bit tricky at times, and if you don't get as much practice in or feel the motivation. But if you can stick with it, like give yourself maybe 6 months to a year of study, that you'll be able to get going. For the more serious student, somebody who's trying to maybe get into music school, trying to play professionally, really improve their skills, I would say the most important thing is to practice. And you need to have that, raise the bar enough to where you're going to show up and deliver for whatever you're trying to do. If it's an audition for, let's say, Las Vegas Academy, or if you're trying to improve certain areas in your playing and all that, to maybe perform live or whatever, make sure that you're practicing and doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So basically, you can help somebody who is a complete novice, has never played before, and only wants to play for themselves, up to somebody who already has experience as an advanced player and wants to maybe perfect their skills?
Yeah, I can teach all skill levels, yeah.
Okay. what would you say it's also another important thing in choosing a guitar teacher? What do you feel makes you stand out?
Well, I think that I have got like about 25 years, over 25 years of guitar teaching experience. My focus is to really get the student inspired and excited to play. I think that that's like the biggest thing, because I found with myself, the more inspired I am, the more excited I am to play, the more I actually pick up the guitar and kind of jam. I've had a lot of performing experience, a lot of times playing in different bands and everything, and there was a lot of experience of what practical knowledge I need and what's needed to be able to sound good, either if it's just in your bedroom, just having fun, or if it's actually performing. And so those are things I can, help out with. And I think that's something that stands apart. Also, too, resources that I have here at my office. Any song that a student needs, I can immediately get the tablature or print out the music for them. I have an extensive library of teaching materials, and I also sell strings, picks, tuners, capos. I have a little mini music store, and I also sell sheet music and different books and everything. So they can come here, and everything they need is in one place.
But little birdie told me, that you don't just do music lessons inside of the office.
Yeah.
You also do, I guess you could call it out calls or house calls?
Oh yes, yes, exactly. I do house calls, drive people's houses, and I also do lessons via webcam with Skype too.
Which is very unique, because it helps those who have a problem getting out in the heat, especially in Las Vegas, might have moved away and just already loved your lessons, or maybe don't have a music teacher in different states and cities, and they can still connect with you via Skype.
Yeah, with the Skype lessons, it works really pretty good. I mean, a lot of people are like, how's this going to work? But all of my students that have tried it are actually surprised. And what I'll do is, like, I'll grab the guitar, and I'm able, I have my webcam, I can get pretty close and be able to show, like, different ideas up close and everything to the student. And it works really good. I send all the documents via email. And it works great. I've had a lot of compliments, and the students seem to like it. They're a little hesitant at first, but then once they try it out, they're able to, see that it works good.
Well, anybody trying something is going to be a little hesitant. But yes, I definitely have heard a lot of good things about you, and know several of your students in person, and they have nothing but good testimonials to say about you. And there is also another little thing that I know. You also teach people who have little handicaps. For example, they can't use one of their fingers.
Yeah.
So you're very adept at helping them to get around, shall we say, difficulties.
Yeah, I have one student right now I'm teaching who's completely blind from birth, and she's actually able to play a couple songs already after about a couple months of lessons. But she works at it; she really enjoys it. So but I do give her the information she needs, and yeah, I can work with people with autism, and a lot of my students have had autism, all kinds of different issues.
Which is something that I would say really goes in your favor too, because you are comfortable with people of all different kinds of levels. Physically, emotionally, all of this
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Okay, now I want to kind of take you back to your beginning.
Well, I've been playing guitar now for about, how long has it been? It's been about, it's coming up on 30 years. I started when I was 10 years old. I got my first guitar, and it was actually my brother's guitar. But unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have an instructor that was able to help me learn how to play. And so what I did is I kind of stopped playing for a little bit, but back in my early teens, I really got into it again, got an electric guitar, and the rest is history. I spent just hours playing and practicing, started taking lessons with a teacher when I was about 15, and then I started when I was about 17. I got into a jazz band, both a college band and also a high school jazz band, which I really learned a lot about advanced chord structures and a lot of music theory during that time. And then I went to the Guitar Institute of Technology back in I think it was 1995 when I went, just to kind of put some finishing touches on my playing and all that, which was pretty neat.
Right.
So.
And when I look up above you, I see a picture that says Rock Beat on it.
Oh, a friend of mine, that is an old picture. I was playing at a gig at a church one time, and she superimposed that Rock Beat on there.
Okay.
So it wasn't a magazine cover or anything. It was just some fun picture that she took and did that for me.
But you have been part of bands. You've been I guess you call it a studio musician?
Yeah, I did studio work for a while there too, just playing on publishing demos and did all kinds of different things. Played on like a few soundtracks and a few records.
Off the top of your head, can you think of some of the bands that you worked with?
Well, probably some of the more. Well, I worked with Jim Brickman. I played on one of his records. I also played on. Who else did I work with? I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, there's a lot of other musicians I worked with. Studio work, though, I did some recordings for Jim Brickman. And then that's all I can think of right now with recording performances and all that. There were a lot of other people I performed with. Richie Havens. I played with a woman named Marla Glenn who sold a bunch of records out in Europe. And just all kinds, slew of different types of gigs and casuals and all that.
Okay. Do you at this point still perform live?
No, my focus is on teaching. And then one of the reasons is that if I do start performing again, it's going to kind of interrupt my ability to teach students, especially students that like to come in the evening. I'll have to cancel to do gigs, and I don't want to do that. Yeah, I have enough experience where I feel that
now you want to give to others what
that's
you've enjoyed.
The primary focus. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the only thing I really didn't ask you yet is two things. Number one, what do you charge?
Right now, currently, I charge $20 half hour for a one-on-one private lesson here at the office. Also $20 for Skype lessons. If I drive to the person's house, I charge $30 a half hour, $60 an hour. And then I also have other group rates. Like if this client can put together 5 people, I can charge $5 per person per class. So I do that here, and I also drive to people's houses, and I will do similar types of rates and all that. A little bit more money if I drive the house, but it works good, especially for homeschool kids and students who are homeschooled.
How long off in advance notice would you prefer to receive?
Oh, for a cancellation, I have a 24-hour cancellation policy. If there's an emergency or something like that, as long as I get a phone call, there's no problem, but I prefer 24-hour notice.
Sure. And if somebody brand new sees this and says, this is the guitar teacher for me, which I hope lots of people will do, of course, how long in advance do you need to call you to schedule a lesson?
I probably give me a couple days at the very least. I prefer like 2 or 3 days notice, just to kind of talk to you a little bit, see if I'm going to be able to help you out, which I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do. But just about 2 or 3 days would be great.
I see, and you just said something that really gets my attention, because this is something that I've ran into problems with some people. You actually will take the time to talk to the people first and see if you can help them. You're not just going to say, oh yeah, sure, come on in, and then find out, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, there are very rare cases that you can't. But you are actually going to take a little preliminary time on your dime, basically.
Right. Yeah. I like to see what their goals are. If they don't know what they want to do, if they want to be able to play songs that they hear on the radio, if there's a specific technique that they want to improve, and it's important for me to know that, because there's so many directions I could take a student. If I have an idea of what's going on, I know immediately what I can do to help them.
So you basically have a little bit of time to set up a lesson for them.
Yeah, I get an idea. Get them started and just kind of figure out what I need to show them and what they need, and be able to get them on the path that they want to kind of go on.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to give your address, because all of that information I'm just going to kind of add into this.
It'll be on the website. Yeah,
yes, it'll be on the website.
Yeah.
And one other question, obviously, what kind of payment do you accept?
Oh, I accept credit cards, cash, and check.
Okay, wonderful. And you know what? Now I have a big favor to ask. You talk so much about music. Play.
Here,
Let us see what you can do, my dear.
Let's see here real quick. Anything in particular, any requests? Or
you want to know something? Just play.
I'll just go ahead and play a little rock here, I guess. So.
Rock. Okay, Matt, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thanks.